Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Which is the greatest commandment in the law? And most scholars will agree that when you're talking about the law, they're talking about around, 613 laws that these Pharisees had come up with. 613, because that's the number of letters in the Ten Commandments. So 613 separate letters. They came up with a law for each and every letter of that. So they just ask him, hey, which is the greatest command? Which is the greatest law? And then you look at the response that Jesus gives. Because there is absolutely no hesitation where he stops to think about it. He just comes straight off and he says, verse 37, Jesus replied, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. This is the first and greatest command. There is no hesitation. They're trying to trip him up with Moses, and guess what? He turns the table and quotes Moses from where? Deuteronomy 6:5. Deuteronomy 6:5, which most of us know is probably the most popular verse that these Jews and these Hebrews knew. Deuteronomy 6:5, what we call basically chapter 6 verse 4 and 5, that we call the Shema, right? Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And then he says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. That's what Moses wrote. Matthew puts in with all your mind, and Mark puts in with all your mind and strength. I don't think any of them is deliberately misquoting. They're just trying to make a different argument right here. And so while they come trying to trip him up with the law of Moses, he comes back with the law of Moses and he says, what is it? Love the Lord your God. Love the Lord your God. And they are familiar with it because they put it all over the place, on the doorposts, they strapped them up on their heads and everywhere else. This is what they had. Those are the words that they had. Every Orthodox Jew would recite the Shema at least twice a day. At least twice a day. Thou shalt love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. Right? And then there is only one God, basically. And so what Jesus tries to end up doing is simple. I'm not telling you something new. What I'm telling you to do is fulfill what Moses really said.